Good morning and welcome to 8 Things to Talk About for today. Today is Tuesday, January the 11th. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and I'm here to give you 8 news topics, 8 stories that you can chat with folks around the world or just right down the street, depending on how you're living right now. And as we're recording this on the 11th of January in 2022, how you're living may be a bit more complicated because of the big old Omicron variant and variant. Say words really pretty, John Payne, and what's going on with COVID testing and what's going on with COVID in general. So hopefully you're living safe, you're living well. You can reply to any comment you want to us, and we will do our best to comment back with you. If you're joining us live or record it, just pop back up and let us know while we're doing what's going on. So these are 8 things we're going to talk about, the 8 stories that basically happened within the last 30 hours or so. 2 of them are actually repeats because I'll explain how that works out in just a moment. But these are just topics you can talk about, the big trending topics, if you will, not necessarily the most important stories. Like we like to say, we are not necessarily your first source of news. We are pretty much your side piece of news. So go ahead and keep your marriage with CNN and MSNBC and Fox News straight. We're just here for, let's just call it, the good times. This video sponsored by Zenny, and we'll talk more about that sponsor in a moment. But first, let's talk about some stories. Story number 1 is a repeat of yesterday's story number 1, and we'll explain in a moment. Novak Djokovic wins appeal against deportation from Australia. What's that mean? Means pretty much what it says. Novak Djokovic wins his appeal from deportation to Australia. The story's not over yet. He's not quite set the play ball quite yet, but this is a repeat from yesterday, which was actually a super story. We combined a story earlier in the weekend, plus one posted more or less in the middle of the night where he won the appeal, which got so much response. Just the appeal part itself was high enough to make the number 1 story of the day. As we said, Novak Djokovic is well, he didn't get vaccinated. He got a medical exemption, then found out he tested positive and hung out with a bunch of people maskless. And then so Australia's kind of like, yeah, we don't play that way. He can still get kicked out of the country by the minister. He just had a deal in place that he could work out some technicalities. They didn't let him do that deal because he showed up at the border and was like, hey, answer these questions now. We're going to see how this plays out next couple of days, whether he gets a chance to play and whether athletes of this caliber will actually get a chance to be like real people and deal with consequences. We're not seeing that here over in the States. We're going to see that happens in Australia. Story number 2, Alec Baldwin says he's complying with Rust probe despite not turning over phone. This one also a repeat from yesterday, something posted very, very early in the capture and high enough throughout the day to keep going. NewYorkPost.com is our source, 12.31% engagement on this one. And this story, I'm not going to go deeper into this one again because, like I said, this is kind of old news because it's been said over and over again. We just sort of posted late. But Alec Baldwin is claiming he is complying. He's doing everything he can to do with the Rust probe. This is, of course, the probe in which he killed a lady and almost killed another guy because he had a prop gun that was not a prop gun and fired off and in general directions. He's still not turning over his phone. I did a bunch of jokes on why he might not be turning over his phone. OnlyFans was popped up there as well. I have no idea what's going on, but the phone part, his phone records, at least his phone itself, he's still holding on to. Let's move on to the story at number 3 for this morning. If you need things to talk about, this is one that's been updated, so I'll give you most of the update. What we posted yesterday on Monday was CPS canceled school Monday as negotiations with CTU continues. CPS, Chicago Public Schools, CTU, Chicago Teachers Union. ChicagoSunTimes.com, 4.84% are the numbers and the reaction for that one. So what's this mean? The update from this morning, which has not been posted, we didn't have a chance to get into what's going on, so we probably won't post that update going forward. But Chicago kids are going back to school on Wednesday. That is the day after tomorrow. On late last night, they worked out a deal, or they worked out the bones of a deal to have school come back in, teachers come back to work today and prepare for school tomorrow. Some of the details of that deal include a threshold for virtual schools, plus extra testing, extra CTE, KN95 masks, things like that to students and teachers alike. Like a spokesperson said, I saw the news report this morning. It's not perfect, but it's going to work. Lori Lightfoot's like, we shouldn't have did this, but we're going to get back to work. And the full teachers union has to vote on it today. So it's not really over, but they're basically looking at 80% of what they wanted. And so they're going to go more or less set up to do this. School back in Chicago via the teachers union on Wednesday. If things get bad, they'll go to virtual school instead of shutting things down. Again, that's the plan. Virtual school sucks. Trust me, day two of virtual school here in Little Rock. Story number 4, former Biden advisor Simone Sanders to host MSNBC show. APnews.com, our source, 4.15% engagement on this story. And this is a big, big deal. Now, I'm going to throw some other people into this mix for the story to make me more context. But Simone Sanders, who's not quite, I don't think she's actually much older than 30, it might be 30, 32, is getting her big gig in the spotlight on TV. What do cable news shows do to fill the time and fill people? They fill the spots they have for people. They just pull political hacks, in most cases, political communications folks, and throw them on TV for a while until they burn out and they put another person in there. I'm not saying that Simone Sanders is a hack, but she's young and she's going to MSNBC, and they are definitely blowing the liberal doors off the news. By contrast, Jesse Waters is going to take over the show that I believe will be essentially akin to going across on Simone Sanders. Simone Sanders, I think, is going to take the 7 o'clock p.m. daily slot and then maybe have a weekend show. Jesse Waters is officially taking over the 7 o'clock spot on the Fox News channel. So they're definitely going away from news and more towards commentary craziness on the Fox channel. CNN is throwing a bunch of people on CNN Plus, I guess. Going to story number 5 for the morning and a quick hydration drink. Remember, hydration is good for you. Keep yourself hydrated. It's going to be a long day, long week, long year. Drinking nice, simple Kroger brand black tea this morning. Pretty simple. Pour some water in the tea and just drink it. Story at number 5. Jenna Jameson diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. People.com is the source of this. 2.77%. I'm not going to go deep into the story, so look it up if you want to go deeper into it. But essentially, Jenna Jameson having more medical issues. This is a disease that essentially paralyzes you, and she got to the point where she just couldn't move, and she was diagnosed with this disease. So we're sending out thoughts and prayers to Jenna Jameson. Sometime when I have more time to talk about it, I'll talk to you about my my radio encounter, not directly with Jenna Jameson, but it led to a large box of porn showing up with my name on it at the radio station and made me a hero for about months. We'll talk about that later, trust me. So story coming in at number 6 this morning, and this is one that takes a little bit of good getting into. Ben Affleck says Ayanna Pressley is why he never ran for Congress. That's what he says. BusinessInsider.com is our source. 2.77% engagement on this story. And what's that mean? Well, that means Ben Affleck apparently thought he was running for Congress, but realized that Ayanna Pressley was going to, quote, clean his clock. That's not the right quote. I think it was kick his ass or something like that. But Ben Affleck apparently had some thought that he was going to run for office, like actual office, and then looked at the person who's actually doing the job and was like, wow, this is a job and she does it well. I probably should go back to sulking and bad acting. I'm not sure that's exactly what his inner dialogue was, but you get the gist of it. A famous person, not that movie stars or famous person athletes are bad for business in the way of politics. There have been some very, very, very awesome people who've transitioned out of the world of entertainment and sports and things like that into the ranks of politics and Congress. Ben Affleck, I'm not betting on that one. Now, I don't know, Ben Stiller, him, I'd probably vote for. Number 7, Fat Joe and Remy Ma win all the way up lawsuit because rapper signed away rights at IHOP. HipHopTX.com is our source. 2.77% engagement on that one. So pretty one on that one. Let me go to, I'm actually got the story put up here because I'm going to give you a little bit of, I got to do a little bit of being real with you for a minute. This was supposed to be a throwaway story. This was supposed to be a story that, because we've got to post a story every 50 minutes to keep things going. It was one that was like, I got to get something in there. I don't understand this. This makes no sense. IHOP, did they beat him up at IHOP? What happened? And then so we just let that one go. What happened was a rapper who had the basically came up with some of the original beats, some of the original music for All the Way Up, met with a Fat Joe at a IHOP. Yes, this happened. They paid him for the rights of the song, the music he produced at the IHOP, $5,000. They made a deal. They paid him $5,000. He got $5,000, but he said he took the deal because he was intimidated by Joe's street reputation, and because he thought, if he didn't take that money now, he was going to get basically beat up later. What happened was the judge was like, well, you took the money. So you took the money. So you already got paid for this. So why are you suing for more money? So right now, Fat Joe Remy Ma also in the lawsuit. Give me a moment to find where the point is. French Montana and Infrared, all those folks were listed in the lawsuit for more damages for the lawsuit. They're right now in the clear. You know how these things go. We'll see what happens going forward in the actual continuation of the suit. But it is a time where we'll see what's up. Like I said, these are not the top stories in the world. This is not coronavirus is going to kill us, although that obviously is happening. These are stories that are popping up because you said, when we put it out there in the stream, it's kind of interesting. So we're not getting stuck with gloom and doom and Alabama, Georgia, which we'll probably talk about tomorrow. But do get those things right there. A quick shout out right now, my boy Sean Big O, who is watching this stuff live. Thank you so much for all the love and support that you've given me the past couple of years. And thank you for popping in live. Any suggestions, anything we can do to improve it? Yeah, it's I'm like on the way to work. So this is how this is the best you're going to get here. But tell me any suggestions, things to pop things up. My wife suggested like lasers and video. We're probably not doing that, but that's that. So good news, Fat Joe, who I'm a fan of. But like I said, this is a story that you guys said was interesting enough to join the conversation. So now you have that to throw away. And yes, he paid him at the IHOP. He didn't beat him up at the IHOP. It happens. The story at number 8, the final story for 8 things to talk about for the day. Myanmar Suu Kyi sentenced to 4 more years in prison. NPR.org gave you that one, 2.63%. And I can guarantee you saw nothing about this in the news over the past couple of weeks. But political prisoner and former president of Myanmar, Suu Kyi, is in prison because that's what they do over there. If they don't like you and you're in charge and they can take over, they throw you in prison. Just throwing that out there. So because they don't want the opposition and don't want to have any opponents, period, they're doing their best to oppress any sort of movement that Suu Kyi could actually do. And they've extended her prison sentence for a few more years. This is a more deeper and a more detailed story all over the place. Myanmar going over a whole lot of issues with their unrest after they had some elections that the people didn't like. So the military took over, and right now they're under military rule. Ironically enough, we've heard plenty of talk over here about why can't we do what they do over there in the Myanmar? Like I said, that's what they do over there. And it's sounding a whole lot more like they'd like to do that over here. So while this may not be the biggest story that is being covered out there, this story might mean a whole lot more later on if certain people get their way. That's all we're going to do with that one. This is 8 Things to Talk About, or actually technically was 8 Things to Talk About. And 8 Things to Talk About is powered by you. And it means I need you to help me power it out. So one way you can do that is by stopping by our website. This is theconversationproject.com and clicking on the link for Zenni Optical. Zenni is the place to grab your glasses because they give you good glasses, period. It's not because they're the prettiest. They're pretty, not because the customer service is awesome, it is, not because they have hypnotic type models who do stuff, which they do. See here in the picture right there. But Zenni Optical is one of the greatest places to get your glasses because they do all the great services that all the great places do, and technically all the not so great places do, but they do a good job at it, and they do it at the not so great places price. And so if you're looking for your next pair of glasses or just a spare, check them out. These glasses start literally at about $9.95 for basic lenses and basic frames. I think these right here that I wear are the basic ones. I have 2 or 3 pairs because I tend to lose them a lot. Plus I also have sunglasses and sports glasses, things like that, because they're economical. They're easy to deal with. They also will deal with your HSA. So if you got a little money left over, well, new money, I guess. Um, consider Zenny Optical, and consider getting us a couple pennies from your actual buy by going to this is a conversationproject.com. Zenny, it is an affiliate link. So yes, we get a couple pennies off of your purchase. We do not, the price doesn't go up based on that one. This has now officially been 8 things to talk about for the day being Tuesday, the 11th of January, 11 days in and no insurrections. I think that's a good start. Find more about us at The Conversation Project. This is conversationproject.com. Also, help fund this whole thing. Buy me tea, buy me coffee, buy me cokes. Go to buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne. You can buy single coffees or subscription coffees. Find us on Facebook and Twitter, where you can actually respond to all the stories and get yourself into the votes. The more that you get into it, I mean, you just, like I said, we post a story about every 50 minutes to both the links simultaneously. And whichever your bag is, Facebook or Twitter, like the story, love the story, hate the story, respond to the story, comment back to me. And the more engagement it gets, like the Novak Djokovic, which was huge, the higher it goes. I want to give big thanks out to Big O, who, of course, the host. He's one of the hosts, but he's basically the ringleader, the BT Barnum of the In the Black podcast. So he can go ahead and pop that pop that link in the comments for people who see that going forward, and or search for it wherever your pods are cast. It is a great podcast. 3 very intelligent, very well spoken. It's code for nice guys. Very very into the communities. Their communities of Black men talking about all sorts of topics. So it's not just the blackity black stuff, but the come from the blacky black stuff. Stay for some of the other stuff. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm out for the day. We're going to keep this experiment going as much as possible as time allots and equipment keeps up. We'll talk to you tomorrow with 8 more things we hope that you may not have saw in the mainstream media, but it'll be great conversation starters to go through for the rest of your day.